The Galactic Council chamber was full of nervous energy. Representatives from 47 different species sat in their seats, their bodies showing the amazing variety of life across the stars: scales, fur, feathers, and creatures beyond description. Everyone was wondering why this emergency meeting had been called. Ambassador Kale of the Altari Federation stood at the front podium. His blue skin seemed washed out, and his usually calm face showed clear signs of worry. The Altari were known as peaceful explorers throughout the galaxy, always looking to make new friends. But today, Kale looked like someone who had seen something terrible. "Members of the Council," Kale began, his voice carrying through the translation systems. "I bring urgent news. Our exploration ships have found a new people on the outer edges of the galaxy. They call themselves humans, and their world is Earth." Excited sounds rippled through the room. New intelligent species were thrilling discoveries. The galaxy was huge, and finding thinking beings was still rare and wonderful. Most representatives leaned forward with excitement. General Vex of the Draonus Empire jumped up from his seat. The massive reptilian warrior stood nearly twice as tall as everyone else in the room. His red scales shone under the bright lights, and his yellow eyes locked onto Kale with predatory hunger. "New people mean new places to control," Vex said, his voice deep like grinding stone. "New things to take, new worlds to add to the Empire. This is very good news." Several other representatives nodded in agreement. The Draonus Empire controlled 50 star systems and always wanted more. Their military strength was unmatched anywhere in the galaxy, and they had never lost a single war. But Kale shook his head hard. "No, General, you do not understand. These humans are something new. They are dangerous in ways we have never seen before." Laughter came from the Draonus section. General Vex's officers thought the idea was funny. The Altari were known for being careful, but this seemed over the top even for them. "Dangerous?" Vex asked, still laughing. "Ambassador, with respect, your people see threats in their own shadows. What could one young people possibly do to hurt the mighty Draonus Empire?" Kale's hands shook as he turned on the holographic display above the podium. Images of a blue and green world appeared, showing continents and oceans that looked like many other living worlds. "Let me explain what we discovered," Kale said quietly. "Earth is beautiful, full of things we need, and perfect for life. When our ships first got close, we expected to find a peaceful civilization, maybe just starting to grow." The display shifted to show images of human cities, tall buildings reaching toward the sky, machines on paved roads, and millions of lights twinkling in the darkness. "They have learned how to travel into space," Kale continued. "They have small bases on their moon and other planets nearby. They seemed like any other young people, so we made peaceful contact." The gathered representatives watched with interest. First contact worked the same way everywhere. The Altari were experts at it, having helped dozens of peoples learn about the galaxy. "What happened next changed everything we thought we knew about fighting," Kale said, his voice almost a whisper. "When we landed on Earth to meet their leaders, they welcomed us. They were interested kind, wanting to learn about the galaxy beyond their world. We spent many months with them, learning about their ways and showing them what we knew." General Vex looked bored. "This all sounds normal, Ambassador. Where is this danger you keep talking about?" Kale's eyes found the general's, and there was something in that look that made even the strong Draonus warrior pause. "The danger, General, is in their history. While we were learning about humans, we found something that terrified us. These beings have never had true peace. Since their written history began, they have been fighting. Many peoples have violent pasts," interrupted Commander Zer of the Hegemony. "We all came from hunters. What makes humans different?" "Because they never stopped," Kale replied. "We found peace through talking and deals. Others found peace through taking over or through being too tired to fight. But humans, they have been fighting each other for over 5,000 years without even one full decade where the whole world was at peace." The chamber went completely silent. People began to look uncomfortable. Kale went on. "They fought with sticks and stones. They fought with metal swords and wooden shields. They fought with powder-based weapons and machines. They even fought with weapons that can split atoms and destroy whole cities in just seconds." The holographic display showed images from human history. Ancient battles with tens of thousands of fighters using bronze weapons. Knights in armor charging across fields. Modern soldiers with rifles fighting in mud. And finally, mushroom shapes of nuclear bombs. "They have turned everything into a weapon," Kale said, his voice mixing amazement and horror. Their music, their art, even their words can become weapons. They have made poisons that could kill millions, illnesses that could destroy whole populations, and bombs that could break planets. General Vex leaned forward, more interested now. Impressive weapons for young people, but weapons can be stopped. Numbers can beat any defense. You still do not see it, Kale said, clearly upset. It is not their weapons that make them dangerous. It is their thinking. They see war differently than we do. The ambassador turned on more images. They showed humans studying military strategy and the art of fighting. We study war so we can keep away from it, Kale explained. Humans study war so they can become perfect at it. They have entire schools for learning how to fight. They go through every battle they have ever had, learning from what they won and what they lost. They read very old books about how to win that are still taught today. They even make practice battles about fights that never happened, just to find new ways to kill. They treat warfare like math, figuring out exactly how to destroy the most with the least waste. The chamber was completely quiet now. Even General Vex had stopped laughing. But the worst part, Kale went on, is that they know when to stop even though they could destroy their own world many times over. They choose to pull back. They are not wild animals without thinking. They are smart, careful fighters who understand what war really costs better than any other people in the galaxy. Kale looked straight at General Vex. When our cultural exchange was done, I asked their military leaders what would happen if someone attacked Earth. Do you know what they said? The general said nothing and waited. They told me they would not just protect themselves. They would find every ship, every base, every world that belonged to whoever attacked them. They would take apart their enemy's whole civilization piece by piece until nothing was left but ashes and sorrow. Kale's voice became more urgent. And then, General, they smiled. The warning hung in the air, making every being in the Great Hall feel cold. 3 days after Ambassador Kale's warning, the Draonus, his dark red scales showed scars from 100 fights. His yellow eyes burned with desire as he looked at the star map floating above the table. So, Thrax said, his voice like rocks grinding together. The Altari are afraid of these humans. They speak of danger and ruin, he laughed. A sound like breaking rocks. The same Altari who run away at the first sign of a fight. The same ones who beg for peace when we take their worlds. General Vex stood next to the table at full attention. My Emperor. I watched Kale's presentation myself. The ambassador seemed genuinely afraid. Maybe we should learn more before we do anything. Learn more? Thrax's eyes got narrower and more dangerous. Are you saying the mighty Draonus Empire should hide from stories and rumors? Of course not, my lord, Vex said quickly. But the Altari are very good at finding information. Their reports are usually right. Their reports about fighting strength are worthless, Admiral Rex interrupted from across the table. The naval commander was younger than most there, but he had won every battle. He had captured 12 star systems for the Empire without losing one major fight. Look at the facts, Rex continued, turning on his own display. This human homeworld, Earth, sits by itself on the outer edges. They have barely learned faster than light travel. Our information shows they have small mining operations on nearby rocks and a tiny research base on their moon. The display showed pictures from long-range Draonus spy probes. Human ships looked broken down next to the sleek Draonus warships. Their biggest ships were clearly made for carrying things, not fighting. Their technology is at least 200 years behind ours, Rex said. They use chemical rockets for most space travel. Their weapons come from simple guns instead of energy blasts. They do not even have real defense shields. Emperor Thrax leaned forward with interest. What about their planetary defenses? Very small, Rex said with confidence. A few bases around Earth itself, but nothing that could stop a real invasion fleet. Their military seems to focus on ground fighting, not space combat. Commander Drex, who leads the Empire's ground forces, snorted with laughter. Ground forces? How old-fashioned. Do they still fight with swords and spears? Mostly guns, Rex answered. Chemical explosives. Really basic next to our plasma cannons and energy shields. Their fighters wear simple armor that would not even stop our weakest guns. The war meeting went on for hours, looking at every piece of information about humans. The more they learned, the more sure they felt. Humans looked exactly like what they seemed, a young people taking their first steps into space. What about how many people they have? Asked General Z, the Empire's strategy expert. Around 8 billion on their homeworld, Rex said. Maybe another million spread across their small bases. A good number for work after we conquer them. Thrax grinned, showing rows of sharp teeth. And their things are great too, Rex said eagerly. Earth has lots of metal, water, and organic stuff. The system has several gas giants perfect for fuel, and the asteroid field has enough rare metals to supply our shipbuilders for decades. The Emperor stood slowly, his huge form casting shadows across the room. Tell me, Admiral, how long would it take to win this human system? Rex did not wait. With a proper fleet, my lord. 2 weeks, maybe 3 if they hide in their asteroids, but they have nowhere to go. No friends to call for help. No technology that could hurt our ships. And what size fleet would you need? 300 ships should be more than enough, my Emperor. Capital ships for bombing from orbit, carriers for fighter help, and troop ships for ground control. Standard conquest setup. Thrax walked to the star map, studying where Earth's system was. It was truly alone, far from any major travel routes or allied peoples. The perfect place to expand into. The Altari talked about human history, General Vex said carefully. Their wars and weapons. Primitive fights between primitive people, Thrax dismissed. Every people fights before it learns civilization. The strong survive, the weak obey. It is how things work. But my lord, Vex pressed. Kale seemed to believe their past makes them dangerous. Thrax turned to face his general, and Vex immediately lowered his eyes to show respect. Are you doubting what I decide, General? Never, my Emperor. I just suggest we be careful. Careful is for weak people, Thrax announced. The Draonus Empire was built through might and strong action. We have conquered 50 star systems. We have beaten peoples with technology better than these humans. We have never lost a war. The Emperor sat back in his throne. Decision made. Admiral Rex, you will get the conquest fleet ready. General Vex, prepare ground forces for taking over places. Commander Drex, get the slave processing centers ready. My lord, Rex said with excitement. Should I tell the Galactic Council what we are doing? Standard protocol? Thrax laughed harshly. Since when does the Empire ask to do things? The humans are not council members. They have no treaties or protection. They are new land waiting to be claimed. The War Council filled with sounds of approval, roars, and battle cries. The Draonus had not had a real conquest in over a year, and the fighters wanted action. Besides, Thrax added, the council is full of soft peoples like the Altari. They would spend months talking and making deals. By the time they decided anything, Earth would already be flying our flag. In just hours, orders went out across the Draonus Empire. Shipyards worked night and day to get ships ready for battle. Weapons were loaded, fighters were taught their jobs, and supply chains were set up. The machine of conquest started turning. Admiral Rex stood on the bridge of his ship, the huge flagship called Empire's Wrath. Through the big window, he could see the whole fleet, 300 ships of all sizes, from quick fighters to ships that could destroy planets. It was enough power to turn worlds to dust, Admiral, his communications person reported. The fleet is ready to go. Excellent, Rex replied. Set course for the Sol system. Go as fast as you can. As the Draonus war fleet turned on their faster-than-light drives and disappeared into space, heading toward Earth, none of them noticed the small Altari scout ship watching their preparation. Ambassador Kale watched the departure with growing fear. His efforts to warn the Council had failed. His direct pleas to the Emperor had been ignored. Now the strongest military in the galaxy was heading toward a world they did not understand. Kale tried hard to send a warning to Earth, but Draonus jamming technology blocked all messages to the Sol system. The humans would face the invasion without any heads up about what was coming. As his ship jumped to space, racing to tell the Galactic Council, Kale could only hope that his worries were wrong. Maybe the humans were just another young people after all. Maybe the Draonus would get another easy win, but deep down the ambassador knew the truth. The galaxy was about to see why humans grinned when they discussed fighting. The Draonus war fleet dropped out of space at the edge of Earth's system like a wave of metal death. 300 ships of all sizes spread through the darkness, their bodies shining with gun ports and thick armor. Admiral Rex stood on his flagship's bridge, looking at his fighting displays with happiness. Report, he commanded his bridge people. Long-range scanners show small activity around the third planet, his sensor person replied. Some small bases in space, a few dozen ships moving between inner planets. No major defensive bases found. Just like our information said, Rex said with a smile. Tell the fleet to get into attack position. The huge Draonus ships started moving into their standard conquest formation. Strong warships formed the front. Their plasma guns powered up for bombing the planet. Carrier ships let loose swarms of fighters that flew around the big ships like buzzing bugs. Troop ships waited back, ready for the first bombing to clear out any opposition. "Admiral," the communications person reported, "we are getting a message from the human ships." "How many ships are they sending to meet us?" Rex asked, guessing he would hear about desperate running fleets or maybe a small military force. 37 ships, sir. They look like regular civilian ships, cargo haulers, mining ships, and what looks like a passenger transport. Rex laughed so hard he almost fell from his command chair. 37 ships against our 300. He wiped tears from his yellow eyes. These humans are either incredibly brave or incredibly dumb. The human fleet got closer slowly, their ships looking like junk next to the shiny Draonus warships. The biggest human ship was barely 1/10 the size of Rex's flagship, and most were much smaller. "Sir, they want to talk," the communications person reported. "Let them through," Rex said, still laughing. "I want to hear what these young people have to say before we destroy them." The main screen lit up, showing the bridge of a human ship. A man in a simple military suit sat in the captain's chair, his face calm and ready. His name tag showed Captain Blake. "This is Admiral Rex of the Draonus Empire," Rex announced proudly. "I am here to take this system for the Empire. You will give up right now and your deaths will be quick." Captain Blake looked at the Admiral for a moment, then spoke in a steady voice. "This is Captain Blake of the Earth Defense Force. You have come into our space without permission, and clearly wanting to fight. You have exactly 10 minutes to leave or we will have to fight you." The Draonus Bridge people all started laughing. Even Rex's serious officers thought the humans' words were funny. "Fight us?" Rex asked, still grinning. "Captain, I have 300 warships. You have 37 cargo ships. Do you know how numbers work?" Blake's face did not change. "Admiral, we tried being peaceful once. It did not work out for the people who broke the peace. You now have 9 minutes and 30 seconds. You dare threaten the Draonus Empire?" Rex's happiness turned to anger. "I will love watching your young world burn." "Minutes," Blake replied calmly and ended the call. Rex turned to his weapons person. "Target their flagship. One shot from our main gun should show them how hopeless they are." "Firing main plasma gun," the weapons person reported. A bright beam of energy shot out from the Draonus ship, one that could melt through the armor of any ship anyone knew about. It hit Blake's ship right in the center. The human ships outside got white hot for a moment. Then something that should not have happened occurred. Instead of blowing up or melting, the ship took the energy and kept moving forward like nothing happened. "What?" Rex looked at his fighting display in shock. "How is their ship still okay?" "Unknown, sir," his weapons person replied, fear in his voice. "The power signature shows a direct hit, but there is no damage we can see." "Fire again, all forward guns." Multiple energy beams hit the human fleet, but what happened was the same. The ship seemed to shrug off guns that could destroy whole places. "Sir," the sensor person yelled out right away, "the human ships are going faster. They are moving into attack formation." Rex watched in disbelief as the small human fleet spread out and started moving toward his huge military force. Their movement was unlike anything he had ever seen, seeming random but somehow perfectly in sync. "All ships open fire," Rex commanded. "Destroy them." The Draonus fleet let loose everything. Plasma guns, energy torpedoes, and particle blasts filled space with deadly light. But the human ships moved between the attacks like they knew exactly where each shot would be. Then the humans fired back. What came from their ships were not energy weapons or smart missiles. They were simple pieces of metal moving at incredible speeds. But when these basic shots hit Draonus ships, they went through shields and armor like they were made of cloth. "Impossible," Rex screamed as he watched 3 of his warships get torn apart by what looked like high-powered bullets. "How are they getting through our shields?" "Sir," his science person replied with fear in his voice, "those shots are moving at significant portions of light speed. At those speeds, weight becomes nothing. They are hitting us with the power of tiny stars." The fight became a bad dream for the Draonus. Their bigger numbers meant nothing when human ships moved like ghosts appearing where they were least looked for. Their strong guns were useless against enemies who seemed to know every attack. Even worse, the humans fought together in a way that made no sense. When one human ship was hurt, Others would move to help it right away. When Draonus ships stayed close for help, human ships would come from crazy angles to hit weak spots. "Admiral," his fighting person screamed, "the humans are using their own ships as bombs." Rex looked up to see one of the smaller human ships moving fast straight at his flagship. The ship's engines glowed white as it picked up speed. "Turn to the side," Rex ordered, but it was too late. The human ship hit the Draonus flagship at huge speed, but instead of just a crash, something much worse happened. The human ship blew up at the moment of hit, turning itself into a focused nuclear bomb that tore through the ship's outside like paper. Emergency sounds filled the bridge as air rushed out through huge tears in the outside. Half of Rex's people were dead or dying, and his strong flagship was destroyed. "Get out of here," Rex gasped through his emergency breathing mask. "All ships run to hyperspace." The surviving Draonus ships fled in panic, leaving behind the wreckage of 75 ships, a quarter of their whole fleet destroyed in less than 30 minutes. As the Draonus fleet jumped to space, Captain Blake's voice reached them on an open channel. "You had your chance to leave in peace. Tell your Emperor that if he wants Earth, he will have to come and take it himself. We will be here ready." In the quiet of space, the human fleet got ready again around their damaged ships, already starting to fix them. They had fought the strongest military in the galaxy and won easily. The war had started, and the Draonus Empire had just learned their first lesson about not thinking much of humans. Admiral Rex came back to the Draonus homeworld with shame. His once great flagship limped into port with huge tears in the outside and half its people dead or hurt. The sight of the defeated fleet shocked the whole empire. The Draonus had never suffered such huge losses before. Emperor Thrax received the admiral in the throne room, his yellow eyes burning with rage. The huge leader's claws scraped against his stone throne as he heard the fight report. "Ships destroyed," Thrax repeated slowly, his voice like grinding stone. "A quarter of our invasion fleet defeated by 37 basic ships. My Emperor," Rex said, kneeling before the throne. "These humans fight unlike any enemy we have ever met. Their guns are simple but work well. Their moves are surprising. They seem to know exactly what we will do before we do it." "Excuses," Thraxra roared, standing to his full huge height. "The Draonus Empire does not lose to basic people. You will come back with the whole military. Every ship we have will crush these humans completely." Within days, the Empire got all its military ready. 800 warships got together in space above the Draonus homeworld, the biggest fleet ever made. General Vex commanded the ground fighters while Admiral Rex led the space battles. They would not think little of the humans again. "This time we take no chances," Thrax announced at the final meeting. "Bomb every human world from space. Turn their planets to glass. Leave nothing alive." The huge military force jumped to space, heading for Earth with enough power to destroy whole star systems. But this time the humans were prepared. Earth's military had grown during the month between fights. The 37 ships that fought the first engagement had become over 200 vessels. Even more importantly, these were no longer changed civilian ships. They were ships made for war, made just to kill Draonus. Captain Blake stood on the bridge of the new flagship, Humanity's Resolve. The ship looked nothing like the cargo ship he had commanded in the first fight. This ship was sleek, deadly, and covered in gun systems that the Draonus had never seen before. "Sir," his communications person reported, "long-range sensors found the Draonus fleet, 100 ships, all military type." 800, Blake said to himself. "They mean business this time. Tell the fleet to get into defensive positions around Earth and turn on the orbital platforms." What the Draonus scouts had missed during their looking around were the huge gun platforms humanity had built in Earth's shadow. Hidden as asteroids and space junk, these bases had humanity's most destructive guns. When the Draonus fleet got there, human ships moved in perfect formation, while hidden platforms powered up guns that shone with dangerous power. "All ships attack," Admiral Rex commanded, wanting not to fail again. Overwhelmed them with numbers, the Draonus fleet charged forward like an avalanche of metal and fire. But as they got to the inner solar system, they found that the humans had learned from the first fight too. The space around Earth blew up as hidden bombs went off against Draona's outsides. These were not random explosions. Each blast was perfectly timed and placed to cause the most harm. The humans had turned the space itself into a gun. "Impossible!" Rex screamed as he watched tens of his ships get torn apart by traps he never saw. How did they bomb a whole star system in 1 month? His science person looked at the fighting displays with growing horror. "Admiral, these are not simple bombs. Each explosion is planned with the others. The humans have figured out the exact blast patterns needed to destroy our groups. The human fleet attacked while the Draonus were still hurt from the bomb field. But this time, the humans did not rely on changed cargo ships and desperate moves. They fought like trained military that made the Draonus look like beginners. Human ships moved in groups of 3, each group helping with the other's weak spots. When Draonus ships tried to surround them, the humans would spread and get back together instantly. When the aliens tried to get away, human ships would come behind them like they knew the move was coming. How are they everywhere at once? General Vex demanded from his command ship. It is like they know our battle plans before we make them. The real truth was even more troubling. The humans had looked at every recorded Draonus fight for the past 100 years. They knew exactly how the Empire fought, what moves they used, and how they would react to anything. The Draonus military way, which had taken over 50 worlds, was completely obvious to human strategists. But the actual horror came when Draonus forces tried to land on human places. The Empire had planned to use their stronger ground fighters to take human worlds. But they found that every human place had become a strong base. On Mars, Draonus troops landed to find empty places that turned into death zones. Every building had secret traps. Every street was a kill zone. And every human person was apparently a trained fighter. The red planet turned into a cemetery for Draonus ground forces. "Sir," Commander Drex reported from the surface, his voice filled with panic. "The humans have gone. The whole population has left, but they left behind thousands of automatic guns. The places are killing our troops without any defenders here." On Europa, the Ice Moon's human mining bases proved even more deadly. The humans had used what they knew about the moon's unstable ice to make huge traps. When Draonus forces landed, whole parts of the surface fell through, taking hundreds of troops into freezing water. But the worst part was what happened at the asteroid field mining bases. The humans did not fight to keep them. Instead, they left completely, leaving behind what looked like normal mining stuff. When Draonus forces moved into the bases, they found too late that the mining stuff had been turned into guns. Asteroid processing plants became mass guns, firing rocks at near light speed toward Draonus ships. The aliens found themselves being shot at from their own taken-over positions. "They have turned everything into a gun," Rex screamed as another of his warships got destroyed by what used to be a simple rock processor. "Their mining stuff, their building tools, even their garbage systems are trying to kill us." The war that the Draonus thought they would win in days went on for months. Every win came with a huge cost, and the humans learned to deal with every move faster than seemed possible. Even worse, captured Draonus technology started showing up in human hands, made better, and turned against its makers. "Admiral," his knowledge person reported during one really bad week, "the humans have copied our shield technology and made it better. Their new ships are completely safe from our plasma guns. How is that possible?" Rex demanded. "We only lost those ships 3 days ago." "Unknown, sir. But they are also using our own talk channels to plan their attacks. They seem to understand our technology better than we do." As the Draonus fleet slowly moved back toward the outer solar system, having lost more than half their ships, Admiral Rex finally got what Ambassador Kale had tried to warn them about. The humans were not just keeping their home safe. They were learning, changing, and improving how they fought with every fight. The Draonus Empire, which had never lost a war, was being slowly taken apart by an enemy that treated fighting like a subject to study. 6 months after the war started, the rest of the Draonus fleet limped back toward their home system. Admiral Rex commanded only 150 ships from the 800 that had attacked Earth. His once proud military force was broken, defeated, and without hope. But as they dropped out of space near the Draonus homeworld, Rex found something that made his blood go cold. Human ships were already there waiting for them. "Impossible," Rex whispered, looking at the fighting display. 20 human ships hung in space between his fleet and the planet, their sleek shapes dark against the stars. "How did they get here?" "We destroyed all their faster-than-light ships." His science person's voice shook with fear. "Sir, these are not the same ships we fought at Earth. They look completely different. It looks like they have copied our faster-than-light technology and made it better." On the planet's surface, Emperor Thrax stood in his throne room, looking through the huge windows as strange fires burned across his main place. But these were not wild destruction fires. They were precise controlled burns that only targeted military bases, talk centers, and gun factories. "Report," Thrax demanded as General Vex came into the room, his armor burned and his scales black with smoke. "My Emperor," Vex said, barely able to stand. "The humans got here 3 days ago, not with a huge invasion fleet, but with small groups that came from nowhere. They hit every military base at the same time, turned off our planetary defense grid and took our main spaceports." "How many troops did they land?" Thrax asked, his claws digging into his throne. "Unknown, my lord. We never saw them coming. Our sensors found no landing ships, no transport ships. They just appeared inside our most secure places like they got there from thin air." The real truth was even more amazing than General Vex understood. While the Draonus had been fighting hard to hold Earth's solar system, human special forces had captured several Draonus ships intact. They had not just copied the alien technology, they had made it better. Human engineers had made Draonus hiding devices better, making them completely unseen. They had improved the beam technology that Draonus troops used for getting on board, turning it into a tool for precise strikes. In 6 months, humans had taken technology that the Draonus had built over hundreds of years and made it better. In space above the planet, Admiral Rex faced Captain Blake once again. The human commander showed up on his talk screen, still calm and in control, even though he was commanding a force that had somehow gotten to the heart of the Draonus Empire. "Admiral Rex?" Blake said politely. "I believe we need to discuss terms." "Terms?" Rex snarled, his defeat making him angry. "I still have 150 ships. You have only 20, Admiral." Blake replied calmly. "Look at your fighting display more carefully." Rex looked at his screens and felt his heart stop. The 20 human ships he could see were surrounded by empty space that somehow showed as solid things on his sensors. Tens of hidden ships hung invisible around his fleet, their guns already pointed at Draonus targets. "We could destroy your remaining ships right now," Blake went on, "but that would not help anything. The war is done, Admiral. The question is, what happens next?" On the planet below, Emperor Thrax faced his own impossible situation. Human soldiers had moved into every major place on the Draonus homeworld, but they had done it without killing a single regular person. Military targets got destroyed with precise accuracy, but hospitals, schools, and home areas stayed safe. "They could have killed everyone," General Vex reported in shock. "Their guns are strong enough to crack our planets outside. Instead, they turned off our military and left the people unharmed. I do not understand their plan." Thrax got it perfectly, and it scared him more than any threat of ruin. The humans were not conquerors wanting to make people slaves or destroy their enemies. They were showing something much more scary: the power to completely run their opponent's fate. The talk system in the throne room turned on, and Emperor Thrax found himself face to face with a human military person. The man was older than Captain Blake, with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much fighting. "Emperor Thrax," the human said, "I am